Okay. Well, look, let's go ahead and get started, if that's okay. My name's Ryan Schumacher, founder of Satisfied Patient. I'm excited to have Hugo Diaz here with us today from Vital Interaction, and special guest Stephanie Kelly. And I appreciate CJ and Harmony as well joining from the Vital Interaction side to help us out here. So welcome everyone to Growing Your Practice with Automation and Patient Satisfaction, a case study with Sabatez Eye Center. Harmony, if you want to go to the next slide for us here. Again, we've, excited to have Stephanie here so you can hear really from her perspective at a large ophthalmic practice, how she's leveraged automation through Vital Interaction as well as patient satisfaction with our company, Satisfied Patient. And our contact info is there. We're available at any time if you want to reach out for any additional questions after the webinar. And again, as CJ mentioned, we'll do some Q&A at the end, so feel free to ask any questions. Now's your chance at the end, but feel free to ask those questions as we go through. We'll just wait till the end to answer those. Harmony, go to slide 3 for me, please. Today's webinar, again, Stephanie Kelly, special guest, Sabatez Eye Centers, large practice in Kansas City. She's leveraged 2 technology partners to ultimately increase new patient growth, control their online reputation, and retain existing patients through automation. Next slide, please. Sabatez Eye Centers. Stephanie, thanks for joining. Please tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your role, and then ultimately Sabatez Eye Centers as well.
Oh, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Kelly. I'm marketing director. I actually do quite a few roles here. I'm also a business development director. I manage our insurance, and I'm also patient satisfaction. So Sabatez Eye Centers was started in 1966, so we're nearly 55 years old. We've got 5 locations in the Kansas City area, 21 doctors, and over 140 employees. 50 of those are technicians, and the rest are administration staff. Our specialties are retina and glaucoma, which are our main specialties. So we're targeting the 55 plus age group. We do offer general eye care and LASIK, but those aren't our main drivers. It's typically those other subspecialties. So the organizational structure, we have the 5 of our doctors are our practice owners, and then we have the different managers for the different organizations or the different departments, which include, of course, the clinical division, billings, scheduling, and surgery. So that's how the organization's kind of made up. And then also we have a North Star, and our North Star is just kind of like our mission statement. And basically what it says is that we'll provide exceptional patient care to the communities in which we serve. And so that's about it for Sabatez.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie, for sharing that. I know one of the things that, I've met in person with you in your office several times. You guys have that North Star hanging on the wall in the back. And it's just a great rallying point for everyone to see that, the mission and the priority is the patient and the patient experience. And that's how we're going to.
And it's just a reminder for everyone to keep the, exceptional patient care first and foremost in their interactions day to day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's great to have you here today as well. I mean, you kind of understated your roles there. For everyone on the webinar, I mean, Stephanie's literally fielding calls from upset patients as well. And she's got a new responsibility as well as taking over the physician referral and marketing side of Sabatez Eye Centers as well, correct?
Yes.
Great. Harmony, let's go to the next slide. So we wanted to just kind of lay out the patient journey for everyone and show in a very simple format how Satisfied Patient and Vital Interaction fit into each piece of the patient journey. So we've got 6 steps here from discovery all the way to follow-up at the end. And the first piece, discovery, as a Satisfied Patient fits into this as patients are reviewing your online reputation and your reviews prior to coming into your practice. That's how they're finding you, whether they're being referred from another provider as well. They're also fact checking to make sure that patient care is at a level of standard in which they want to come in. Hugo, please tell us about, and Hugo, thank you for joining us, and please tell us a little bit about scheduling and intake and appointment confirmations through the vital interaction piece here.
Sure, absolutely. And, as you introduced me already, I'm Hugo Diaz, CEO and co-founder of Vital Interaction. So in this part, the scheduling and intake is where patients reach out to actually get an appointment in the book. And there are several different ways you can use tools to make it easier for the patient. In our case, we help if you want to activate a text message option for them to request an appointment. That's one of the options. If a practice has a patient portal and they want to send patients there to schedule an appointment, that's another option too. If they want them to submit certain forms before the appointment, that's another option as well. So there are several things, as I said. We have an arsenal of tools, and we don't expect everyone to use all of them, but what we try to do is to make sure that each practice can use our tools tailored to their needs. So in the next step, the appointment confirmations, which is what we've been doing for over a decade now, we help practices reduce their no-shows by making sure that patients receive the reminder, but also send you the feedback, letting you know if they are coming or not, and then use any kind of strategies you have to fill out open slots. For example, if somebody cancels last minute and you have a wait list, that's a good way of using that time. And obviously, any other strategies you have to try to fill those open slots. I guess the exam part is where the practice comes in. So I'll let Stephanie join in there.
And sure. And then, of course, in the exam is working with patients to provide that exceptional patient experience, as we had said. And then also, we might get into this later, but you can even mention to people during the exam or anytime during the patient journey that they will receive a survey afterwards, so that they can expect that and know to fill it out. But also how the exam helps is because of those appointment confirmations that they had received ahead of time. It really helps us keep the scheduling going and all of the no-shows at a minimum.
Yeah, thanks for that, Stephanie. And just, we're not going to get into a ton today for the everyone participating in kind of the how it works piece. Like we've been talking about, we're going to spend more on kind of what Sabatez does with each one of the pieces of software, how it drives their business, and ultimately share the results. But just for kind of a top line, so Sabatez Eye Centers uses a platform called NextGen. Sabatez and Vital Interaction then plugs into NextGen for the automation component, delivering all these key pieces here, including our satisfied patient survey link in step 5. And then ultimately the follow-up piece, right? So after they leave, even though they're surveyed, we need to continue to build that recall component and get those patients back in the door for Sabatez, and that's where Vital Interaction comes in with that recall. So,
and I like to highlight there, Ryan, if you may, that's probably the most important part, because we want to enable proactive care, right? So it's not just about reminding patients of the appointments they already have, but the recalls and reactivations allow Sabatez to reach out to those patients who have not scheduled a follow-up, but should be scheduling a follow-up. So through our tools that are using the data in the EMR, we're able to identify, based on specific criteria, which patients are supposed to be seen and haven't scheduled an appointment, and therefore send those campaigns and make sure they schedule their appointment.
Yeah, the opportunity there is it's an enormous upside and results that Stephanie's going to share here. Harmony, go to the next slide for me. Will definitely help illustrate. Great point and great setup too, Hugo. As you mentioned, Vital Interaction really helping save time, right? So time is our most valuable asset. It's something that we never get back. And as you can automate those tasks, whether it be the appointment reminders or the back-end recall for those patients who haven't been in for 18 months, that's really where you can help achieve some really, substantial financial return on your investment. Hugo, anything to add on this slide?
Yeah, I mean, just like Sabates has its North Star, we have our why, right? And we believe it is essential for care teams everywhere to spend more time with their patients. And that's why we are hyper focused on saving them that time, removing those tedious and time consuming tasks so that they can focus more on patients. And that's why we like to stretch it and see how far can you take that automation to free them up and let them spend time and resources on things that will benefit the patients the most and generate revenue for the practice as well, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's jump into the results. So I'm excited to jump into the first piece here. We'll talk about satisfied patient and your online reputation. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about how you've used satisfied patient to improve and control your online reputation at Sabates Eye Centers.
Sure. Well, we've been really thrilled with this increase in our online reputation. As you can see from the examples, when we started this about 4 years ago, we really didn't have any kind of reputation score, no surveys. And over the years, as you can see on the right-hand side from the Google search, is our score is 4.9. Originally, when we started in some of the locations, we were even under 4.0. And so now we're 4.9 and have nearly 500 Google reviews. So it's just been really thrilling to see that grow. Also, it helps support the physician referrals because we can showcase that to our referring physicians, and they can feel confident in knowing that their patients will get a high level of care with us. Of course, it increases the search engine optimization and influences hiring and staff recognition. We use it for physician recruitment as well. It's like, oh, if you come work here, you can see that we have a high online reputation or a high reputation in the community. And also it builds the patient-first culture. The staff is really excited for us having a high Google reviews. They've seen it grow themselves, the ones that have been here over the years. And then everyone feels that they can contribute to that and that they all have a piece in helping increase our patient satisfaction.
Yeah, that's a great example, Stephanie. One thing too, I remember meeting with you and you sharing with me how you were taking some of these reviews that you had captured that came through our service and our dashboard, and you would take those and you would put them in an email and send those out. And you used to do it on kind of your intranet and communicate that to build the reinforce a patient culture, right?
Right. We actually do it both ways. Every Monday, I send all of the detractor patient comments or all of the patient complaints we have or all the opportunities for improvement to all of our partners and our supervisors so that everyone can discuss those. And we take them very seriously. It's like we take that feedback and we actually put it into actionable assignments and work actions internally so that we can make the improvements that are needed. And then every Friday, I take all of the positive reviews and I send that in our weekly newsletter to all staff. So everyone can see all of the good things that the patients are saying about us. And especially if they mention a staff member, we bold that and we give props to the staff members that get the positive reviews.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, it's not everyday billing, right? Gets a pat on the back for, hey, great job, or accounting, or issuing a refund. But when you get that feedback through the survey, a lot of times it
does really help. And what I do is I go through and I categorize it so we know exactly what problems we're having or issues. And believe it or not, we hardly ever have any billing issues, which is nice. I wouldn't have probably expected that at first, but billing's really never an issue. But we do track it by category, so I know our department, so we know where the issues are coming. Is it a scheduling issue? Is it an exam issue? Is it a billing issue? Or is it an optical issue? So we are able to track and find out where we need to make improvements.
Yep. And your doctors love the positive reviews as well.
They love the positive reviews, not so much the detractors, but I have to share those as well.
Yeah, that's right. You got to give them both sides.
Great seeing them take them seriously as well, too.
Yeah, that's right. You got to take Amazon's got us all influenced, right? So we're all making purchasing decisions, whether it be in healthcare or, outside, based on online reviews. And that is, the future, and that is now. So, thank you for sharing that, Harmony. Let's go to the next slide. The other piece of this, right? So we're our process using Net Promoter Score, which is the gold standard for customer service and customer satisfaction. It's a very simple question of how likely are you to recommend Sabatez eye centers to a friend or family member. If they won't recommend you, we want to find out why. So very simple, 2-question survey is really kind of the secret to this here. And it's used by more Fortune 100 companies than any other survey metric that there is. If you've ever been on a flight, you've received a survey from Delta or Southwest, and if you've ever flown, you see it. And it's how likely are you to recommend, and that's all you need to ask. But as a result of that, I always say that getting reviews are the easy part. And so getting reviews, if you provide a great level of patient care like you guys do, the reviews are easy. But when we first started, Stephanie, it's one of those things where that wasn't always the case, right? So, we had 9 months of data with you guys when we very first started. Talk a little bit about where you were at from a Net Promoter Score perspective when we first started, how you used that as a measurable metric, and where you guys are at now.
Yeah, sure. When we first started about 4 years ago, our first scores that came through were like 84, 85, and which is still probably a good score, but for us, not good enough. Our owner, Dr. Sabatez, gave us a goal of 90, and when we first started, that sounded like that was probably going to be really lofty goal to meet. But we're happy to say, 4 years later, it's like we've been increased year over year. The last 2 years, we've been at 90, and this year our goal was 91, and we're already like at 94 this year. So it's been a really strong year. You would think with crazy COVID stuff, but I think patients are really happy to kind of get out and be able to maintain their appointments. And so our score this year is looking very strong. We also, I think everyone probably be happy to know, one of my first things is when Ryan started this, we just have the one question. And I thought, well, no, we need to ask about front desk. We need to ask about how their exam experience was. We need to ask about check-in. And Ryan said, no, you really only need the one question. Believe it or not, you're going to get feedback. And he was right. We get over 1,200 surveys returned a month. And that's a ton of feedback. And patients aren't shy. They will tell you exactly where they had their issue. And so it's been good to see all that feedback. It really does help. But I think one of my first concerns is maybe we wouldn't get enough feedback, and you get a ton. So we're happy to see that.
Yep. And it's a direct correlation to finance, right? It's your financial, your ROI. So as you get that detractor feedback from those patients who are upset, who are likely going to switch to another provider, you can make those changes. And I think that's one of the great things that, you've shared with me over the years about how you take this actionable feedback from a patient who had an issue with scheduling, for example, and then you route it to the scheduling manager to address it or follow up with the patient, and then make the appropriate changes.
Yeah, usually a lot of it's communication. If a patient has a problem, it's probably, hey, was something not communicated to them in an easy enough manner for them to understand. So we're able to update reporting that they might need. We've updated our patient summary. We've updated our contact lens agreement. So it really helps us knowing where to make those improvements that we need to do. And a lot of them are very easy and very cheap. It's just kind of a matter of, I would say, kind of communication here and there. Sometimes some process issues, but usually I think it's all going to come down to communication. And then also for everyone to know, we get about a 30% feedback response rate, which is actually very high. I think normal average might be about 5%, 10%, Ryan, you might know, but we're seeing about 30% year-over-year response rate of the surveys that we get back.
Yep. That's right there. That's where we want our clients to be, right around the 30% mark. That's a ton of feedback. And I think a lot of practices don't realize how much feedback that is because they've never had that volume of feedback, right? If you think about your patient appointments and some of the stuff we're getting ready to share next, will kind of show you, in addition to that, the volume that you guys are doing, and it's a lot of feedback, right? And so having us come in, not only using our service, but a differentiation in the industry for us is we do these patient insights reports. So every month you get a report and it's summarized and it says, this is what's great about Sabatez Eye Centers. Keep doing these things. And here's the opportunity to improve. And one of those opportunities recently was the change. You had a change in your refraction process. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. So we have a high level of technicians, and we train them to do the refractions. So our techs were doing refractions, and I think that some smaller practices and other locations, it's always just the doctor doing the refractions. But you know what? We were finding out our patients didn't like that. They weren't happy. Of course, they wanted the doctor to do the refractions, and so we stopped it. We changed it so only the doctors do the refractions, and our techs no longer perform that service.
Yeah. Yep. Another great learning. Well, Stephanie, thanks for sharing, your experience with Satisfied Patient. And Harmony, let's go to the next slide and we'll transition into vital interactions. Hugo?
Yes, and I will say it as a comment to what you just said. I mean, the keyword to me remains being proactive. It sounds like you're being proactive around what you do with all that feedback. And in our case, we're just a messenger to really deliver that reminder. Okay, please give us your feedback, and we can do it in a timely way. Because one of the things that we've noticed is that people respond better the sooner you ask for that feedback, right? So, Stephanie, what I would love for you to do is just share with us in each of these areas that we help you. What has been your experience, and where have you been able to leverage the technology and tailor it to your needs?
Absolutely. And in appointment confirmations, we do all three of these. We email, call, and text. And the great thing about that is, of course, you can customize your message, and Vital Interactions is super. Anytime I have any change in messaging or want to update it, I just send it to Vital Interactions and they're able to update it right away. Also, there's various forms of communication. If for instance, if there's a snow day, then we can send out emergency messaging. And so if there's any kind of appointment changes, all of that can be automated. So it's not just your team having to pick up the phone and manually do all that communication. Any communication you need can be done through any of those manners. And so it's been very helpful. Also, patients can choose how they want you to communicate with them. So for instance, if they don't want text, you can turn off text, but you can still call and email them. So that's been very helpful, because we've had a few patients that, they will say that they don't want email, and it's like, that's fine, you can still just call them. So it's nice to be able to be that customizable for your patient's preferences. For the pre and post appointment communication, yeah, definitely. We have a new patient welcome message. So as soon as we have a new patient and we make an appointment with them, we'll shoot off a, hey, welcome to Sabatez Eye Centers. And so it's just another nice touch for those new patients. We give them further information that the returning patients won't need. Pre-appointment paperwork. We've added a link then to our appointment reminders, so it will direct them to that paperwork so they can complete that online or download it and print it and bring it in, instead of having to do the paperwork at the desk when they arrive. And that saves a ton of time when patients will come with their paperwork already filled out. Appointment specific instructions. You know what, we've updated that for COVID, which has been very helpful. So we've updated all of our appointments to, remind them to wear a mask, remind them we actually only ask them to bring one guest, not show up with their entire family. So that's been helpful too, that we were able to so cleanly communicate all of our new COVID sanitation and additional safety measures. And then post-appointment feedback, as Ryan said, we have a link in our thank you message that goes afterward. It says, thank you for your appointment. We value you as a patient. We'd like to hear about your experience. And all of that feedback is real time, comes back to me. Recalls, we've been thrilled with. There's a couple different ways. One, we send the recalls to patients who are getting up on their 1-year appointment and we haven't heard from them. So we send an email to them and it's like, hey, it's your 1-year appointment. Wouldn't you like to make your appointment again? Then we also have like a reactivation for patients who we haven't seen in 2 or more years. And it says, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Health, your eye care is important. Would you like to make an appointment? And all of this has just been terrific flow of patients for us because it's all automatic. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to make extra calls. And we've been able to receive a ton of new patients that we wouldn't have normally had, or not new patients, but new patient appointments that we wouldn't have normally had. And I think the results on that are on the next page, right, Hugo?
Yes, I believe, Harmony, if you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah, so here, as you can see with Vital Interaction software, we were able to automate our messaging to free up our staff's time for other priorities. And then since I was talking about recall, I was just going to jump down to those boxes. But in 2019, we had 33,000 recalls, which resulted in over 8,000 patient appointments, which is about a 25%, probably really about 27% success rate. So that was just, again, gravy. We didn't have to touch anything other than handling those calls as they came in for making those patient appointments. And then even this year, even though COVID's been kind of a nutty year, and there's been, a month we were off where we were only handling emergency and emergent cases, we still have been able, with our recall efforts, to schedule 429 new patient appointments. And then talking about the hours saved, the other thing that we've been really happy with Vital Interaction is they pull our insurance authorizations for us. And so again, that's a ton of time. We used to have 2 staff members that used to do those insurance authorizations. And, as you know, they need to be done, and that takes a while. And now all of that is automated through Vital Interaction. So again, that saved us a ton of time, which, results in new patients, new patient appointments, and additional revenue.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I wanted to highlight the actual rescheduling of patients during COVID, because it happened to a lot of practices, right? They had to close down and all those.
We were calling and like jumping through hoops, to make sure we got that messaging changed right away. Because, the COVID messaging was changing every day. So you had to react.
Yes, and that's, I think, a very unique application of recalls, right? Because it's not necessarily somebody who hadn't been seen for a year. It's somebody who had an appointment, but due to all these things got canceled, and now you want to make sure they get rescheduled once you open up again, right? So that's been
absolutely. And also Vital Interaction was so flexible with us. When there was like a month where we were only taking emergency appointments, we were able to turn off the recall. So we wouldn't have to keep that going and call people to tell them to come in when we weren't taking general eye care appointments at the time. So it works both ways. It's completely flexible and customizable.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, dialing in and out the recalls as you need them more, and optimize your schedule is the key, right?
Right.
Yep. Yeah, I sat in, I got to tell you guys, I sat in on a demo the other day, Hugo, that you guys did, and the customization component of it. And again, I'm not in the automation piece. I'm isolated in patient satisfaction world over here. And, but to see the flexibility and the customization components of it, whether you want to, notify your patients every, 2 days or 4 days or 10 days. And, the example was, and it was a joke, but they were like, well, so you're telling me we can literally notify our patient every single day of the week if we wanted to? Obviously you'd never do that, but the answer is yes. And, I think, Stephanie, I think of, Kansas City and snowstorms and, doctors being sick, and the ability to click a button and send out those reschedule notices is pretty cool. So,
well, yeah. And also what it does, it really helps your businesses. If you have multiple businesses, for instance, we have one location that's really busy. And so we might need to do less recalls for that location, but then we need to do more recalls for a different location. And so we're able to do that. We don't want to recall patients that were referred to us by their regular eye doctor, their OD, because we
absolutely
have these too. And they think, we don't want them to think we're stealing their patients. So we're able to turn off recalls for people who were referred from an OD. So it's very helpful how the system works for us.
Yeah, great example.
Excellent. I think we can move on then to the next slide. Ryan, were you?
Yeah, so really quickly, we've got a couple things that are new features coming from Satisfied Patient. The first one is the first page of Google. So, it's more important now than ever before to come up when someone is searching insert your specialty, whether it's, ophthalmologist near me in the example of, Stephanie's case, the terms, and if you watch any TV whatsoever, Google's even advertising this, you'll see the commercial. It says, insert keyword near me. So near me searches, because everyone's home and everyone's local right now, are absolutely through the roof. And so what's another benefit we can do for our clients is we can take all those online reviews on your Google My Business listing, on your Health Grades account, and we put those into a dedicated landing page or microsite for you. And the whole goal of it is to drive calls, clicks, and traffic back to your website. So it's over time, these pages will be indexed by Google. They'll be one of the top 10 listings for you, and another way to drive patients back into your practice. The right side of the page is really taking it to the next level. So right now, with Satisfied Patient, I can tell you nationwide what are the top 2 concerns or top 2 pieces of feedback with COVID. We know what those are, and our clients know what the number 1 and number 2 reason with COVID is. And for everyone on the call, the first one is patients want to see equipment sanitized and cleaned before they come in there. And there's many ways to do that. We share those best practices through signage in your exam rooms, et cetera. And Stephanie, you've been a great champion of that stuff. But let's look at your own organization, right? So I don't want to compare you to anybody else. I want you to look at your own organization. And Stephanie, you were one of the key drivers behind this enhancement here on the right side, but it gives you the ability to tag your feedback now. So as you see in this example, your front desk staff had no personality except with each other. That's great feedback. That's something we need to talk to them about in our staff meeting each month. So you can add a little text or a little tag to that says front desk, and then it categorizes it, and you see the charts there on our Insights tab. So again, it just gives you the ability, the output is every practice that's a client of ours will know what their top 5 issues are at all times, and we'll be able to address those ultimately to drive retention of your existing patients. It costs 5 to 25 times more to acquire a new patient than it does to retain your existing patients. So, again, the reviews are the easy part. Anybody can get your reviews, but the patient insights are the key. So 2 new great features. I'm excited about them, as I'm sure you can tell. We just launched that this morning.
Oh, I love the feedback tag. I've been doing that manually for a while, and I've been after Ryan, like, it sure would be great if you could do this. And he did it. He made it happen. And so I'm thrilled about it, because now it's all automatic for me in the reports, instead of having to create my own spreadsheet and go through and read everything and tag it myself. So I'm very appreciative of this new update.
Well, thanks for the feedback. I greatly appreciate it. And I know, Vital Interactions does this as well. Feedback from clients is what makes our product and service better. If we can't, we have to meet your needs. So you tell us your issues and let us see if we can solve them. We might be able to, we might not, but we'll sure try our hardest. So next slide, Harmony.
Yeah, so now we can talk about some of the new features we have at Vital Interaction. And as I said earlier, I mean, our goal is to provide an arsenal of tools so that you can choose which ones are the best for your needs. And we care so much about working with you to tailor things to your needs. So, the first one I will mention is the two-way patient chat. This one is actually less about automation and more about making it convenient for the patient, right? Because this is not an automated message, but it's a two-way texting capability that allows patients to start interacting with the staff members via text instead of having to phone. And that way you reduce some of the inbound calls. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the interesting ways it's being used is for patients to request appointments via text instead of having to call in. Another thing that is important to mention there is that this one is built with patient consent in mind, because as you all know, I mean, because of HIPAA, you got to be very careful about what you're chatting with the patient over text, and we have a way to track which patients have already given you consent so that your staff can freely exchange information there, or if not, then to ask for that consent with some legal language that you can save in your system to know that they've given you consent. The other thing that Stephanie already mentioned there is the automated vision insurance. We've noticed by talking to our customers that it's a pain. It's a lot of time, and as I said earlier, we're hyper focused on saving time. So we realized we needed to do something about it. And eligibility on authorization is one of the first things we're doing. But we're also doing claim entry and eventually even payment allocation. So those tasks that require a lot of manual work, especially from vision insurance providers. So all of you who are having to deal with vision insurance providers will probably relate to that. I don't know, before I jump from that, Stephanie, do you have anything to add on that? I think you already mentioned it, but if you do.
Just that we've been thrilled with it. Same thing with the patient chat. The text has gone really well. And I remember when we first implemented it, our scheduling staff just loved it because it makes it a lot easier in many ways. And then you do have a contingent that would rather text. They're at work and they can't really talk on the phone. And so it really does add convenience for the patient as well. Great.
And and the other thing I want to mention, it's the personalized outreach. So basically this is using the same tools we already have, like for reactivations, as we mentioned earlier. You can build lists of patients based on specific criteria like CPT codes, ICD codes, and identify which patients you need to reach out to. But one of the things we've started doing that has been pretty successful is to actually personalize it in a way that even the doctor can send a message with their own voice, inviting and saying telling patients, we haven't seen you in a while and we do care about you. We need to see you. And you know, the results have been really amazing. I mean, much higher than just regular efforts. And I know a lot of practices send postcards or do an automated call, but the power of doing a personalized message, and by personalized, I don't mean that it's telling the patient's name, but just the fact that it's the doctor sending the message makes a huge difference. And that's just an example, right? There are a lot of ways you can personalize that outreach and increase the effectiveness or conversion for those messages we send out there.
Yeah, that's a great example, Hugo. And you know, it's where the gold's buried too. I mean, from a financial ROI perspective, right? You know, reactivating those patients, you know, just like retaining those patients on our side, and the ability to use the CPT codes to do very targeted focusing, you know, to bring that niche, you know, high revenue surgery procedure in the door. I mean, that's where it's at. So, you know, thanks for sharing all that. Last is the patient journey. So again, just to kind of bookend this, we're showing the patient journey again here, everywhere from discovery through the scheduling, the intake, the appointment confirmations, the survey component, the follow-up piece, which, you know, again, is one of the most important components here. And, you know, like mentioned, you know, Hugo and Vital Interaction have those additional components with the insurance verification piece. You know, these guys are constantly trying to automate things inside your business to help you save time and ultimately to, you know, increase your ROI. So that's really it. I'd love to take a couple questions. Looks like there's a couple in the chat here. I'm kind of scared to click on them because I don't want to shut this thing down. So let me see. Stephanie, I've got a question for you here. I'll just read it. It says, have you seen your at-risk patient volume decrease over the 4 years of utilizing Satisfied Patient? Two-part question. If yes, how much time do you dedicate to following up with at-risk patients and improving operations within the practice?
Okay, thanks for the question. Yes, we've definitely seen a decline in our at-risk patients. When we first started this, we were probably about 4 or 5% of our patient base that were dissatisfied or on the way out the door. Currently, we're at 1 to 2%. So there's definitely been an increase. As a matter of time, I don't really track it, so I'm just going to have to guesstimate. And you know what, I will say it's kind of weird. It's like there'll be all weeks and a month that go by and I haven't heard anything, and then suddenly, I don't know if it's the weather or full moon, then all of the patient complaints come out of the woodwork. So, and then all day I'll be working patient complaints. So it's really kind of sporadic. I don't think there's and it's not like I come to work and I have a portion of my day that I just focus on patient complaints, because it's kind of just all over the place. I will have to say, truthfully, that I did probably stop responding to certain complaints. Like, unfortunately, like, I'll be forthright. Our number one complaint is our patient wait time. People will complain about having to wait. And after a while, I just take that feedback and we work it, but I don't get back to every single patient and apologize for the wait time or find out what happened. And because it just got to be, it's, what we know, we're working on our wait time and we're doing what we can. And I started having to be selective about how many patient complaints I could really get back to.
Yeah, and it's a resource, right?
Mhm.
So it's a
Right.
time resource perspective. But the key thing there, though, that I want to make sure that everyone's still following on is, you still know wait time's your number one issue, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're still doing things internally to try and optimize that, whether it be scheduling. You're just not, following up with every patient who says,
Every
hey,
patient.
it
Yeah,
was a long wait time.
We
So,
follow up with every patient. If it's a medical issue, if they ask a question and they need an answer, if there's something we need to get to them, definitely all of those we'll get back to. But, kind of the ones that are just complaining about, yeah, we know it's a wait time, then it's like, all right, so noted, and we're working on it internally. Mhm.
Totally. Got a question for Hugo here. Does Vital Interaction only do authorizations for vision insurance, VSP, Davis, iMed, or medical insurance as well?
Yeah, currently we're only doing for vision insurance. And the reason for that is because that's where we saw that's the most time consuming. I mean, a lot of the clearinghouses have already built automation around the medical insurance. But the visual insurance, there were so many, the vision insurance, there were so many steps that were being done manually, and had people having to log into a website and doing one by one the eligibility or authorization for patients. So in that case, we actually had to develop a very unique type of automation that's user interface automation. So simulating what a human would do by going into the website, logging in and clicking it, and still using the integration data we have from the patients, from the practice management system, and then feeding information back and forth. But I guess to answer the question, we haven't done medical insurance. There may be a chance where we see a huge need there, and we continue to go in that direction. But for now, it's the VSP, Davis, iMed, Spectera. I think those are the ones we've done so far. We continue to make progress on them.
Yeah, I saw a video of it. These guys shared a video of the insurance verification process that's done automatically, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, it literally does it in like 15 seconds, and it goes really quick through all the steps in the process. It's phenomenal. Next question, Stephanie. How many years do you go back for your recall of patients?
Oh, we go back just 2 to 3 years. I think when we started, we did 2 to 5 years, and we seemed that was too far away. It's like, by that time they've moved or they've found someone new, or it was probably more of a negative response to go that far back for us. So we just do 2 to 3 years.
Great. Thank you. Next question. Does a practice need to have a large number of patient reviews to make the microsite successful? Oh, the new product. The answer to that is no, they don't need a large number of reviews. And I'll tell you why in a second. It says, or can a microsite be developed for a practice without many online patient reviews? So the bread and butter of the search engine optimization is, first of all, there's no silver bullet. So if anybody says this is the 100% way to do it, don't believe them, because there isn't that. But steady stream of new content is the key. So your online reviews, whether you get one a week or one a month, are the key. It's key content. Typically, those reviews are written in terms of, I love my doctor, Nelson Sabates. He was fantastic. He did cataract surgery on me. Those are keywords. Nelson Sabates, cataract surgery, keywords. Those keywords are on that landing page. So that's where the benefit of the reviews come in. You don't need a large number. You just need a steady stream. So reviews have a shelf life on them, just like your milk does. Most patients don't go back and more than 3 months for reviews. So you want new and fresh reviews. So you got to keep it going. Next question. We've got a great one here for, looks like Stephanie. Are you using the texting as a parking lot check-in process?
Oh, that's a great question. And we're not yet, but we're planning to implement that. So we just spoke about that the other day, and we're planning to get going on it, but we haven't been using it right now.
Okay, great.
But
Right.
it's definitely something that you can do with the patient chat tool, right?
Right.
And we've seen a lot of we're seeing some practices that are starting to do that, and asking them to send some information via that while they're at the parking lot, just announcing they're there and basically doing kind of a virtual check-in, right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things like, why didn't we start this like a few months ago? So it's definitely something. I think we were just so busy, and finally we're like, oh my gosh, we should have been using that the whole time. So we're jumping on it.
Great, great. Another question here. I love the microsites. Do they compete though with the practice's website for SEO rankings? The answer is no. And what I mean by that is the top 10 places online for your business to be uncovered are those 10 organic listings on the first page of Google. So the first top 4 spots are paid ads. The next 10 are organic listings. And so the goal of these microsites is, in addition to your website, becoming one of those organic listings on there. So the first ranking is always going to be your website, or should always be your website in that list of top 10. And then, satisfied patient microsites. Our goal is to be in the top 10 there, to ultimately move your competitors out of the top 10 as well. So they don't compete. They're actually complementary. And also, before the end of the year, actually next month, you'll be able to take your reviews from that you get on your Google My Business listing, on your Health Grades account. You'll be able to put those on your microsite too. So you can add a page that says sabatez.com/reviews. You can pull in, we'll give you the code. You just copy and paste it like an email into your website. It automatically updates every 48 hours, all the reviews from Google, Facebook, Health Grades, however you want to customize it. You're only going to want to put your 5-star reviews up there. You can do that. So completely customizable. So it'll even help your website as well. That's coming before the end of the year. So that's the last question. I got to thank everyone for joining today. Stephanie, special guest, really appreciate all your sharing here. Hugo, thank you so much. And, everyone have a great rest of your week. Attendees, thank you so much. Please contact, myself, Ryan, Hugo, or Stephanie if you'd like any other questions or a demo of our service. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Stephanie, for joining us. I think this is a great testimony of how working together, both our companies and your practice have been able to help you with that journey and achieve the results you want. So hopefully, I saw a few familiar names with the participants. So hopefully this was helpful, and we're recording it. So hopefully other people will be able to see it. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.